And yeah, I had to run and get a cough drop because water's good, but when you have sometimes when you're talking nonstop as a teacher, a cough drop actually can save the day. So I'm going to invite you for the start of the practice, come to lying down on your mat. I'm going to stay seated. So this way, if anyone pops in, I can see that, and you don't need to see me lying down because it's really not very interesting. But come to lying down. You might want to have some blankets or towels under your head. You may want to bend your knees and place your feet on the mat with your knees up. If you're comfortable just sprawling out on the mat, arms and legs, do that. And one reason I like to start an evening class that way is because, first of all, we've had a busy day, and maybe you've been on your feet a lot or you've been sitting a lot. So just to not start right away sitting or being on your feet, give yourself a chance to lie down and kind of get a little bit neutral in your relationship to your body and your environment. So as you lie down, close your eyes and draw your awareness inward. Notice your breath. Take time to notice the flow of your breath as it rolls in and as it rolls out. You can also use this time to very calmly and without judgment do a little overview, an assessment of your body. And so you can factor that into your practice in terms of being careful not to injure yourself or overdo anything. And also you can use it as an assessment at the end of class. For example, as you lie down here on the mat right now, take a small turn of your head to one side, just a little bit over to one side, and notice if you encounter any restriction or tightness when you do that. Bring your head back to center back of your skull on your mat, and pause there. And take a small, slow turn of your head over to the second side. And notice if that turns a little more smoothly, or if you felt some pull in your opposite collarbone as you did that. Notice what you felt there. Bring your awareness next to your upper back. So when you're lying down, your upper back, some part of your upper back is certainly going to make contact with the mat. But notice if you feel a little lopsided, maybe one shoulder blade is more prominent on the mat. Maybe you can feel your upper back, but your mid-back, your mid-ribs are not settled at all. They're kind of floating up in the air. Notice your low back curve. We want our low back curve to be natural for ourselves. All of us are going to have slight differences in our anatomy. Natural, soft, low back curve, discreet, not lifting all the way up into the rib cage, but it might be after a long, hard, or busy day. Notice if your back is not comfortable with your legs out straight. If you notice that, bend your knees and place your feet lightly on the floor. That will help calm your low back a little bit. And take your arms by your side, palms up, and just notice if you automatically feel tension in your hands, if your hands are curling in or anything like that is going on. And just notice overall how your body meets the mat. Can you feel some of the heavy places, the heavier parts on the body, like the head or the skull? And then maybe you feel a little space behind your knees, space behind the ankles, and so on. And then bring your awareness back to your breath again, and just forget about what you notice, but just keep it in the back of your mind. Make sure you're comfortable. And the next time you inhale, invite your inhale to be just a smidgen longer without force. Just let that inhale roll in softly. Maybe just let it linger. It doesn't have to be a bigger, deeper breath. And let that breath just sail on out. Take a nice, long, leisurely exhale. And then take a few breaths where you're not focusing on your breath at all. We don't want to have to tell ourselves to breathe or focus on our breath. We want our breath to be able to roll in nice and easily and out nice and easily. And after you've done a few more easeful breaths, one more time, take this kind of fully aware breath where you inhale, notice what you notice, pause, And then exhale and release the breath. And then continue breathing naturally. And then when you're ready, roll over to your most comfortable side and make your way up to a seated position. You don't have to sit cross-legged. Sit with your legs in any position that works. Take any padding underneath you, a groovy towel or a yoga blanket or a few towels. So you might want to have padding underneath your bottom. That is to help you to sit tall and help you resist pitching your shoulders forward. See if you can get a sense that your shoulders are in line with your hips roughly, and that your earlobes are in line with the tops of your shoulders. So see if you can find that alignment no matter how you are sitting, cross-legged or not, legs in front of you. You could be sitting in a chair or on a couch or on your bed to start the class here. And just notice the length of your spine. Notice that length. And then pick up your right hand without turning your body, straining or forcing. Just reach that right arm over to the left. Just reach it over there. And make sure it's not resting on your body. It's just hanging out there in space. And just notice if you feel any suggestion of tightness or a pull. Notice if you feel that. And then change arms. Bring your left arm across the body, not touching the body, below your shoulders. Just reach over there and just notice how your arm feels when you make that little small reach. And then come back to the first side. Pick up your right arm, reach it toward the left, energize those fingertips. So point your fingertips and then take your other hand and place it either under your elbow or the forearm. And you can use your left arm and hand to coax a little more reach of your right arm to the left side, but without introducing any pain. You might feel a little tension in the upper arm or even in the upper back. You'll see the shoulder of the arm you're stretching is a little lifted higher. And release that, relax that shoulder. And then take your second arm, your left arm, reach it to the right without any force, energize your fingertips. You don't want to have your hand in a fist, energize your fingers long, and then take the opposite hand, cup either the forearm or the elbow, and see if you can use your right arm to coax a little more reach in that arm, really, really gently reaching a little further, because there might be something good over there that you want later, like a cookie or maybe a nice cat to pet. So you want to be able to reach that. Make sure both sitting bones are down. And then release your arms all together and just lift your both shoulders slightly up toward the ceiling, just a little bit. You're not even probably going to see mine. Oh, yeah, you will. Just realize I'm wearing kind of a dark top. So don't take them up as high as you can, just up a little bit. And if you couldn't take them up, either that means you have a lot of tightness there, or maybe your shoulders were up like this to begin with, and you couldn't take them up any further. Bring your awareness to your right shoulder. Slowly and subtly circle just that one shoulder around. Rest the hand that it's attached to on the mat and just circle just that right shoulder only, and then pause. And then you are going to switch. You're going to go and use your other shoulder. So you're getting a little frisky here with your shoulders. So you can circle that left shoulder around just a little bit, and then do that in the other direction. And you might notice that one shoulder had a lot more mobility than the other. Interlace your fingers all the way up to the webbing and push your palms forward, lower than your shoulders. Definitely start lower. If this causes any pain or tension in the neck, bend the elbows, relax the arms, take a breath, and you can stay right here. If it's okay to have your arms straight, keep them straight. If it feels okay, keep reaching your arms, bent or straight upward. If this at any time introduces any tension in your neck, stop and go back to a more comfortable position. Wherever your arms ended up, relax your shoulders. If your arms are reaching up to the sky, your shoulders will be lifted, but don't lift them up anymore. Like here, my shoulders are lifted with my arms, and here I'm artificially bringing my shoulders way higher than I need to. Notice the length on the right side of your body and the left side of your body, and see if you can get a sense that there's kind of a rectangular connection between your shoulders and your hips. And it doesn't matter which one is broader, shoulders or hips. And of course, you may have imbalances in one shoulder or hip, but see if you could find that connection. Lower your arms, Ooh, they were up there for a while. Turn your palms to face you. Notice which pinky is on the bottom. Separate the hands, reinterlace them with the other pinky on the bottom. Flip your palms so you're looking at the backs of your hands. Press your palms forward and low. Don't introduce any tension in your neck. So you could keep the arms lower. You could bend the elbows a little bit because tightness in the upper back or neck would be connected with tightness in the forearms and the wrists. If it feels okay, start lifting your arms up a little higher. Pause every inch or so you don't make sure that you don't get to a place and then realize, well, that's uncomfortable. And then wherever your arms ended up, low or high, straight or bent, pause there. Again, notice that rectangular connection between your shoulders and your hips. Anchor your sitting bones down, and without curling your side, just lean a little bit to your left. So you're just going to lean a little bit to your left. So stay kind of long on both sides, anchored on both sitting bones. Come back to center and lean a little bit toward the right. Keep both sitting bones down. Back to center you go. Lower your arms, soften your elbows, release your hands, and just shake your arms out if you like. Roll your wrists around a little bit. Wiggle your fingers. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just randomly wiggling my fingers around. And if you haven't already done so, I don't know how all of you are sitting because I don't think anyone has their cameras on. You're all very shy. So just paddle your legs out a little bit. Take them straight in front of you, paddle them around, and then you can start taking the legs out and in. You could do one at a time, especially if you have an injured leg. You might notice one leg has more motion and the other leg you have to be a little more guarded and careful. So do whatever emotions you like, move around, catch your breath. We're going to come onto hands and knees, all fours, or quadruped pose. If you have sensitive knees, take as much padding as you need to under your knees. It could be a blanket or a towel. And I know someone who for yoga uses a gardening pad. I'm not really a gardener, which is unfortunate. It's a wonderful hobby. So you might have something that you use outside that you can bring inside when you do yoga. And then stretch out into tabletop position. Here too, as when you were sitting, see if you can get a sense of the connection between your armpits and your hips in this orientation. You can settle in a little bit, shift around, find a comfortable place, and then just let your belly just kind of hang out. Let your belly hang out. Just kind of let it surrender to gravity for a moment, and don't worry if you feel like it's not stylish. And then on your next exhale, just gently lift your belly slightly in and up. So it's maybe a little bit closer into your body, but we're not trying to suck in our belly for our summer bathing suit, right? We're going to come into cat-cow variations. If you prefer to do cat-cow in the way you know, that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, follow along with me. Inhale, taking a small back bend from crown to tail. And as you exhale, shift your hips back a little bit as if you were coming to child's pose and lift up onto your fingertips and keep your low back. Prevent it from really sinking like mine's doing here. Try and keep your low back a little higher. And as you inhale, palms down, back you go to your back bend. Exhale to your forward bend. Hips back, spine long, not rounded, high on your fingertips. Keep going with that. Alternatively, instead of lifting onto your fingertips, you could take 2 yoga blocks or same size books and place your hands on those. So this variation of cat-cow is especially beneficial if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia in your spine, because we're still moving around. As you can see, it's a very moving pose, very dynamic, and we're moving back and forth between the back bend on the inhale and the forward bend. Now, traditionally in cat-cow, your forward bend would be this very deep, dramatic, rounded spine, which is great for many of us, and especially when you're younger. But if you already have a lot of excessive curvature in the back, this isn't going to be your friend. So your forward bend would be this long spine, hips back to your heels. So just do 1 or 2 more of those. Feel free to rest in between and just come to a comfortable seat or come to child's pose. Speaking of child's pose, let's all come there. So you could take your props to the side, take your knees wide, slip your hips as far back as they will go. You do not have to be sitting on your heels. You can reach If it bothers you that if your hips are kind of suspended, you can reach for some soft props, blankets or towels, and fill the gap, and then fold forward. And you may want to have a pillow or something here and just rest your forehead on that. And I am going to do that right now. That feels so good, especially this time of year. Sometimes, and this year is a bad one, I get like some sinus issues. So to have my forehead gently resting on a block and just kind of shifting my forehead a fraction right to left. So I'm kind of shifting the skin at the center of my forehead, and that kind of massages, well, not really massages so much, but it moves around the tissues underneath the skin. And I like the way that feels, but we're not weighting our head down. You're keeping your head very, very light on the block. If you're moving, if you're not moving, you could just let the weight of your head surrender and maybe take a nice cleansing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then while you're in child's pose, I invite you to bring your awareness to your upper back and just explore, let's say with the next 2 or 3 breaths, with your natural breath, can you feel sensation of breath in the upper back, in your back lungs? If you don't feel it, because you're definitely breathing full dimensionality in your torso, but even if you don't feel it, imagine it because it is happening. Each time we inhale, we expand in the front of the chest, in the sides, and in the back. But here, since we're not lying on the back, we might be able to feel that expansion more freely. Take one more breath in child's pose. And then when you're ready, slowly come back up. Put your glasses back on if you wish. I'm going to keep mine off for a moment. Stretch back into table. So after child's pose, we often really want to stretch the backs of our legs. Tuck the toes of your right foot deeply under. So you're going to get a nice little movement in your toes and maybe a stretch in your calf, definitely opening in the sole of your foot, which is a nice sensation. Stretch your right leg back straight as you can and see if you can find equilibrium and that rectangular relationship of hips to armpits with your legs in this asymmetrical, or is it asymmetric? Maybe both, position here. You could press the top of your left foot down, take a breath here, and then switch. Land your right knee down, tuck the toes of the left foot deeply under, and sometimes you have to modify, like if you have some injury in the calf, you might find that you can't tuck the toes of that foot quite so much. Stretch that leg back and see if again you can find the rectangular shape of tabletop position with the legs doing 2 different things. Take a breath here. Bring your left knee down and either sit back on your shins or stand on your knees and just use this opportunity to relax your wrists a little bit. Since we were doing a few things on all 4s, you can circle them, you can just make some random movements with your wrists that feel good. And then I invite you to come back and do this again. It's a nice stretch for the body. And yes, it is a little balance challenge. Very subtle, but it is nice to do if it's working for you. If you don't want to do the balance challenge, you can continue with cat-cow, for example. Tuck the toes right foot, send the leg back. Find balance here. Present your collarbones forward. Make sure your head isn't too far back. You don't want to crunch the back of the neck. The head could be a little lifted, especially if you left your glasses on and you feel you want to hold them up. If you like, you can build a little more strength by lifting the leg up and or, oh, I'm very unsteady today on this side, reaching your opposite arm forward. But see if you can find a reasonable amount of stability. So for example, if you take the leg up and you're really wobbling all over the place, focus on finding the stability there before adding the opposite leg. Between the 2 sides, I'm going to do some wrist rolls. See how the second side is. This is my weaker side. So tuck the toes of the left foot under, stretch the left leg back. Pause there. Find broadness across your upper back. I'm going to pause to take a breath into my upper back. Oh, that feels good. And then with my next inhale, I'm going to float that left leg up. See how that feels today. That has some injury on that side. Let's see how that is. And then add the right arm. Keep the back of the neck long. So you don't want to be crunching the back of your head. Breathe into your length. Bring that hand down. And then again, come to sitting, rolling your wrists around, whatever feels good from there. Excellent. Come back to a seated position. It does not have to be cross-legged. You can sit any way you like. In fact, because of my injury, I'm going to sit in a very asymmetrical way. So I don't recommend this, but it bothers my hip to sit cross-legged on that side. So I'm going to stick this leg out and try it like that. So just so you know, if you have that kind of injury on one hip, this is a good way to sit. So wherever you're sitting, find your shoulders connected with your hips. Take your arms out far enough so that your fingertips are down. So you're not straining, you're not trying to reach like crazy. You're just making a triangle shape with the top of your noggin being the top of the triangle and the arms being the long sides. And it's not a stretch per se of our muscles, but it gives the connective tissue of the arms a nice opportunity to lengthen. So we're energizing from shoulders down to the fingertips. This is a melt technique for those of you related. It's based on a melt technique for those of you who are familiar with that, just so I give credit where credit is due. Now, from here, start with a neutral head position and then tip your head up a fraction as if you were going to kiss someone who was a little taller than you. Good. And then turn your head to the left. But as you turn your head to the left, energize the length of your right arm more. And just notice if you feel any sensation, any buzzy sensation along the length of your arm or in your collarbone, and then release. Head back to center. You can always roll your arms around in between the two sides or change your seat. And then you're going to come back to the triangle. You're going to tip your nose up slightly. You're going to turn your head this time. The second side, I believe, will be it will be your right, but you're going to energize the opposite arm. So whatever side you're turning your head to, the other arm is going to energize more. It doesn't mean you're going to reach it more. You're just going to think about lengthening your fingertips down into the mat and beyond, a little bit more on the side you're looking away from. And notice if you feel any opening in the collarbones or any groovy sensation, and then slowly release that. No matter what you were sitting, once again, take your legs out in front of you and just kind of roll them around, do something nice with your legs. We're going to continue on the mat today. And since I'm thinking of taking a restorative back bend, let's do one regular old yoga back bend. Let's do a cobra variation. So for cobra, we're going to be lying on our belly on the mat. If you find that you have a lot of sensitivity in your pelvic bones, if you need padding, you could take a thin blanket underneath there. Some people have a sensitivity in their pubic bone when they're lying on the mat. So pad that up. You can take a blanket under your forehead, and I'm going to use that because that's also going to prevent my earpiece from falling out. I don't want you to lose the sound. So when you're ready, make sure you don't knock over your water. Come to lying down on your belly. I'm going to stay propped up a little bit, but you're going to come all the way down like this. Bring your forehead down. And then choose your arm position for cobra to just traditionally, our palms are down and our elbows are up. That doesn't work so well if you have wrist injury or forearm problems. So another way you can do that is to just have your forearms down and your elbows and forearms usually end up a little wider than your mat. So pick which one of those works for you. Bow your forehead down. If you'd rather, before we come into cobra, rest with your head to one side, that's fine too. Now, bring your awareness. I'll keep my head up so my voice isn't muffled. Bring your awareness to your hips. Tuck your pelvis. So draw your pubic bone underneath you to your belly button. You may need to shift your hips a little to do that. Lift your right leg up a fraction, reach for the toes, lengthen that leg, place the top of the foot down, lift the left leg up a fraction, lengthen through the toes, energize that leg, place it down, and then forehead down completely. I'll do this first one with you, even though I might be kind of muffled here. Light touch on the arms. As you inhale, lengthen your heart center away from your toes. Confirm your glutes a little bit, but use a little strength in a lot of areas. Make sure you're tucked, make sure your low back curve feel stable, and make sure for this first cobra, we may only do one, that you're not using your arms, that the arms aren't lifting you up. Now, take a slow, small turn of your head to either side, and then lower that side of your head or your ear down, and pause. Relax your legs for a moment. You can get a little sloppy with your legs. And then after a breath, re-energize your legs, tuck your pelvis. And as you inhale on that breath, just float up a smidgen, bring your head back to center. Feel the strength of your back, the length of the back of your neck. Slowly turn to head to your other side. And you might notice one side turns more smoothly, and then bring down that side of your head or the forehead or the ear. Now from here, just rest your arms all together. Turn your palms up and rest your arms. And you'll notice that the tops of your arm bones, you can feel one of them roll downward, which is their normal position. They poke forward. So keep that in mind. That's their normal position. Let's do one more cobra here. Choose your arm position, palms down, elbows up, or forearms down, or if you have another position you'd like to use in your practice, do that. Lengthen the legs. Bring your head back to center. And then we want to have this top of our upper arm bone here slightly lifted to give a little more width across the collarbones and across the upper back. But we're not pulling it. We're not squeezing. We're not pulling. We're just floating that up a little bit. As you inhale, lengthen here and lift up just a fraction, maybe a little higher. If you want to use arm strength, just lift up no more than an inch. Good, 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 good. If you like, you could turn your head to one side, back to center, over to the other side. And then when you're finished playing around with your adorable little baby cobra, come down all the way onto your pillow, onto one side of your head, bend your knees, and just take your legs from side to side. And then you're going to be taking your hips a little with you when you do that. And then when you're ready, let's come back to sitting. Let's do one seated twist. Again, sitting cross-legged if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, sit another way, as long as you're sitting evenly on both sides. Take padding under your bottom if that helps you sit taller, and find that nice rectangular connection, shoulders to arms. Good. We're going to twist to your right first. Remember, if you're an experienced yogi, you don't have to set your arms up first. You can come into the twist and set your arms as you go, but I'll set you up on this side. If you take your right arm behind you, your left arm toward the right without force. Inhale, find the length of your spine, the lift of your heart. And as you exhale, wrap your shoulder girdle over to the right. Just a fraction. Don't pull, don't yank, don't force, don't pull with your arms. Now, as you twist to the right, you might notice, without looking, try not to look, that your left leg has popped up a little bit. Relax the opposite leg down. You can drop your chin down a little bit if it feels better. Bring your awareness to your upper back, as we did not too long ago in child's pose. Bring your awareness to your upper back, and as you breathe, see if you can dial yourself in to the natural action of the back expanding as you inhale. Take 2 more breaths here. One more breath here. And then when you're ready, unwind your spine. You can raise your arms up to do that. Before you do the second side, you may want to change your leg position altogether. I'm going to stay in the cross leg, but I'm going to cross my legs in a different way. So make any change that you need to. I'm going to be twisting now to your left side. So again, you could set your arms up first, left arm behind you, right arm in front of you. Or if you have core strength and you're more familiar and you do a lot of yoga, you could sit nice and tall. Inhale, and as you exhale, take the twist and set up your arms at the same time. Now that you're twisting to the second side, to your left, make sure your right leg hasn't popped up. You can look over there and check on it, or you could just feel maybe it popped up. Make sure your sitting bones are down, and make sure your arms are supporting the twist, not cranking you into a twist. We don't want to be cranky at the end of the day. If you're doing a very powerful, intense yoga practice, a full hour, 15 minutes, and you're doing many twists, on your fourth twist, sure, you can use more arm strength. You could wrap your mid ribs around more, but not when we're just doing a gentle practice. We just want to enjoy that twist. You can bring your awareness for the next couple of breaths to your back if you like, or just enjoy this twist as you breathe. Inhale that sweet air through your nose. Hopefully it's sweet. Exhale when you're ready. And one more breath here on the second side. And then when you're ready, unwind with the arms up or down. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Now, we did some a cobra, right? And then we did a twist. So we're going to do again a back bend followed by a twist, but this time we're going to do both poses with some prop supports. So for our back bend, let's do this one. It's almost like cobra, except you're upside down and you're using props. So we do cobra, we're lying on our belly, right? And we're lifting away from the floor. This is going to go in reverse. So take a blanket. Doesn't have to be a yoga blanket. It could be a bath towel, or beach towel. Usually for me works a little better than a bath towel. And then fold this kind of squarish shape, square rectangle, until you get a long, narrow rectangle that is narrower than your shoulders. You want your shoulders to be broader than the prop. That's important. And you're going to place that down, decide which end of the mat your head's going to be, and place it about maybe 10 inches or so from the edge of the mat where your head's going to go. Then from here, take another blanket or towel. Make sure it's the same thickness as this one. So if you have a super thick towel, you can, and you don't have another towel of that thickness, you can use 2 smaller towels. Fold that into a small rectangle like this, and place that at the top. So the two together make a T-shaped soft foundation. Keep that. Then when we do this back bend, you're going to sit with your bum in front of the vertical blanket. So keep that in your mind. Your legs can either be looped over a bolster if you happen to have one handy, or a pile of pillows, or you can have your knees bent and your feet on the floor, which is what I'm going to do. But I don't recommend doing this with the legs out straight for most people. Just so you know, when you come into the pose, if you get into the pose and you feel like your back is overarched, you're going to come right out and you're going to either lower the height of this prop. Mine's just a couple of inches. You can lower that, or you can take another handy blanket. This is one of my beach towels, and you can place that here. So when you sit, your butt's a little higher, and that should reduce any low back discomfort. So here we go. Make sure you're not sitting on this blanket, nor make sure you're not so close that you're bunching it up with your tushy. And then when you're ready, slowly lower yourself down, and there you go. So because I am not very tall, I don't need this blanket. So let me just put this out of the way. My head, my low back curve are all on the mat, and then my bottom of my the start of my lumbar spine is definitely on the blanket, but then the curve is spilling off and the hips are down here. I was too lazy to get a bolster, so my feet are bent. I'm going to take them wide, rest my knees together. If you feel like the bottom of the blanket in your back, you can take the blanket and pull it a little away from you. You don't want to have anything bunched inside you. You want this to be super comfortable. So those of you who are a little taller will need more blanket behind you, and you can always raise the height of your head if you feel you need that. Take your arms by your side with the palms up. If you have a lot of blankets and towels around you and you want to be like the princess and the pea, feel free to rest the backs of your hands on two props, or if you have a nice stuffed animal or a really big dog who doesn't mind that you rest your hand on them, they might like it. This could be very nice. So this is a supported simple back bend. It's like Cobra in that we're inviting gentle opening across the upper chest. When we do Cobra, our shoulders are drawing back behind us, right? And we're using our body strength. Here, we're not using our body strength, we're using the props, but our shoulders, pardon me, are dropping down to the floor. They're surrendering to gravity. If perchance you do have shoulder injury and having your shoulders dropping down doesn't feel good, take a handy prop and pat up your shoulder a little bit so it doesn't drift down. But normally, if your shoulders are not injured, it's that softening down of the shoulders. Remember, the prop is narrower than your shoulders, so part of your rib cage and your back is going to be on it, but the shoulders are going to drift off. Make sure you are comfortable. And if you like, close your eyes. We'll be here for a few minutes, but if you're feeling at any time that this is not working for you, don't overstay your welcome. Restorative poses can be, like their name, restorative and wonderful. But if you don't do restorative yoga a lot, you don't necessarily want to be in a pose for more than a minute. So just remember, if you feel uncomfortable and need to come out of this supported back bend, you're going to place your feet together, you're going to roll over to your side, and you're going to rest there. Otherwise, stay right where you are in your back bend. Notice how your back meets the mat. Excuse me, the prop behind you. Can you feel your upper back? Maybe you feel your mid back more down. Don't have to pull it down. Just let your body surrender to gravity and feel that nice connection of your body to the prop underneath you. Either stay here and just quietly enjoy this little refreshing back bend, or stay here and follow me as I give you a little breathing practice to go along with this if you wish. And I know I repeat myself, but I just want to make sure, especially people do go in and out of these classes. So just make sure if this isn't comfortable, you come out of the pose and lie on your side. Good. So we did a lot of focus on breathing in our back. Bring your awareness, if you like, to the sides of your rib cage. You could bring your hands there if you wish, but you don't have to. You could just bring your awareness there. And the next time you inhale, breathe into your width in a sense. Notice if you feel your ribs, your upper chest expanding laterally on the inhale. And if you feel it kind of receding a bit on the exhale. And then just breathe naturally. And when you're ready, again, if you wish, focus on your side ribs, the sides of your body, not in your waistline. And as you inhale, pour a little more breath in through your nose. Notice if you feel your rib cage expanding into your fingertips. And then if you like, bring your awareness to the front of your body, to your upper chest and to your belly. You can use your hands there if you wish. And as you inhale, take a slightly bigger breath, not to force the breath, but just to maybe give you more of an indication of how you can feel the front of you breathing upward toward the sky. And as you exhale, softening down toward the midline. You can do that again, and just know that when you inhale, not only do you breathe widthwise, but as the top of you lifts up in this orientation to the sky, the back of you reaches down toward the earth. Inhale and just notice your breath. Still feeling good? Stay here for a few more breaths. Let go of those shoulders. We carry so much on our shoulders throughout the day, literally carrying stuff, and of course, just figuratively carrying our responsibilities with us everywhere we go. So here you could just let those responsibilities just kind of slide right off into the earth. Take 1 or 2 or 3 more breaths. Easeful breath. Check in with your jaw, release the tension there. Relax your hands and your palms. Relax your toes. Let go wherever you can. In just a few moments, we're going to transition out of the back bend, and eventually we're going to transition into a twist. So if you have a bolster and your legs were like looped over the bolster, so they're like this, bend your knees so your feet are on top of your bolster, and then push your bolster away. I'm going to make believe I'm pushing my bolster away, so your feet are anchored on the mat. And then push a little bit into your feet, and when you're ready, roll over to one side, go slowly. Make sure you have something under your head, and take that blanket that you were lying on or that towel, and you can take it in between the bones of your knees and your ankles. That can feel nice. And take as much height under your head, your bottom ear, as you need, and pause for a few breaths here. So just like we followed up our active cobra with an active twist, we did it seated, we're going to follow up our passive restorative back bend with a restorative twist, and we're going to do that on the back. So make sure you have a blanket under your head if you need that. And remember, you don't have to have anything under your head if you're comfortable without it. I always use one when I teach on Zoom because it projects my voice a little better, and I can see the camera a little better, obviously, than when I'm flat. So I'm going to lie on your mat. I'm going to have a blanket to put under your head, and then just grab a hold of some small props, blankets or towels, yoga blocks or books. We're going to use these to support our legs and make them more comfortable. So make sure you have some stuff here. And then come to lying down and take your feet wide. If you want to be really fancy, you can have some props on either side of you. Take your feet wide and your knees wide. And then, so you can see, you're just going to start tipping your knees over a little bit right and left. Keep your head still. And just see how your hips feel. Make sure you don't have any irritation in your hips when you go to the side. If you do, then you know that side is not going to be so comfortable, so you might not want to do this twist on that side. And then when you're ready, let your knees come over toward the right. Now, as you can see, this leg isn't touching, and for most of us, it wouldn't be. For some of you, it might be. You can leave it like that, but since we're being extra mellow and restorative and we're making our way to Shavasana, you may want to support with a prop, a block, a small pillow, a rolled up blanket. And on the leg that's in back, you may want to take a prop underneath your inner thigh. So that's relaxing as well. You may not want the props. Relax your feet. Take your arms out to the side. You can keep your head centered, or if you like, with your knees turned to the right, you can turn your head to the left. Invite the fullness of your upper back to touch the floor. And you may need to shift your torso a smidgen in the direction that you're twisting to. So if your knees are to the right, you may want to shift your rib cage to the right a little to get as much connection as you can with your bones in the floor and as much support from that floor as you can. Take your arms in any comfortable position. Close your eyes. If you choose to turn your head to the side, Don't do anything to force the head down or to make the turn bigger. That's a big no-no. But imagine that there's a weight. Let's say your head is turned to the left. You can imagine that you have, this is something I came up with, like an earmuff on. Earmuff is on the left ear and it's a little weighted. And you're not turning your head more, but that little weight on your ear, your little weighted earmuff thingamajiggy, is inviting the head to surrender a little bit more. So you're not doing anything actively, muscularly, you're passively suggesting something to your body. And sometimes that kind of thing just helps you to let go a little bit more. Breathe naturally in and out without force. Take 2 more breaths here. At least 2 more breaths. You don't have to count. I'll time it. Take at least 2 more breaths here on this side of the twist. Nice and easy. You can explore your breath in your chest, upper back, and sides if you like, or just enjoy the stillness of it all without doing any observation or exploration. Sip in another more breath, another inhale through your nose. And one more breath. As with all twists, we'll do this on both sides. If you're going to stay a little longer after the class is over, feel free to linger in the twist a little longer and just follow along with us on a little lag. We're going to bring our knees back to center, bring our torso back to center, and just pause with the body centered, the knees looking toward the ceiling or resting together. And then take your feet wide again and do that same little tippy action back and forth. And this will help prepare you for the twist and also let you know, like if you have a pull, and let's say this outer right, if this is my right thigh, this outer thigh, then you know you might not want to go over too far on that side. And then when you're ready, you're going to take your legs over to the second side and then add your props if you wish. So you might want to take a soft prop underneath your left leg under the outer thigh. And here, since I'm doing it on the other side, you can see how it looks. So you're propping what I call the back leg here. That leg is always higher up, right? So you might need more height here. So sometimes I bring the prop, if I'm propping, pretty close to the butt. So it's really high on the upper thigh. That's if I'm using a prop on that leg. You can keep your head in neutral or turn your head to the opposite side of your knees. And just surrender the weight of your legs to gravity and to any props that you are using. Feel the expanse, the broadness of your upper back. Let your head be weighty. And if you like that idea, which some of my students over the years have liked, and some have looked at me like I'm a crazy person, if you're turning your head to one side, find your invisible weighted earmuff, place it on your bottom ear, and just let that suggestion of a little weight attached to your ear. Oh boy, it didn't really do it on the other side for me today, but here I just feel my head just kind of sink over a little bit more. So the invisible weighted earmuff did its job on this side. Or maybe I'm just a little less tight on this side of my neck. Enjoy a few breaths here. And whenever you're in a restorative pose where you're propped and you're in a fixed position, always feel free to shift, whether it's coming out of the pose because it's not serving your knees or needs or your knees, or maybe like for me, I'm switching the height of the prop under my leg. It was a little too high. So just make sure you're comfortable. Don't stay in any position because that's where you got into and you think you're supposed to stay there. You want to be comfortable at all times. If we're not comfortable in a restorative yoga pose, where can we be comfortable, right? Take 2 more breaths here. When you are ready to release the twist, breathe your knees back to center. Parallel your feet, shift your hips back to center. Shavasana is next. You may just want to come right into Shavasana. If you'd like to take one more forward bend here, we did child's pose earlier, for example. Feel free to draw your legs into your chest and just condense your belly a little bit. Just feel that length of your spine. Feel your low back broad. Make any movement you like. You may want to circle your knees around in one direction and then change the direction of those circles. Really, really small massaging action on your sacrum, the triangle on the back, center back of your hips. And then when you're ready for deep relaxation, use whatever props you want. You may just want to go very basic here, blanket under your head, and that's it. You also may want to go to town here and just pile every prop you have and take it underneath your knees. You may want to cover yourself. You may want to put actual earmuffs on if your house is noisy. I am not going to lie down with you. I'm just going to stay seated while you take Shavasana. Feel free to have a little sip of water before you get there. Just make sure you are as comfortable as you can possibly be. Shavasana is all about the comfort. And it's really can be very nice to do a gentle yoga practice like this before bedtime. It doesn't have to be right before, although you don't want to take a nice gentle yoga practice and then go, watch some really exciting show. Not that I don't like exciting shows, but if you want to get to sleep, watching like The Walking Dead or something doesn't necessarily put you in a relaxed mood. So come to lying down. And again, the way I'm sitting is just comfortable for me. I'm not recommending this necessarily, but just so you know, if you ever want to do this for sitting, I have 2 rolled blankets underneath my legs. My sitting bones are down and I'm very cozy. So get cozy in your Shavasana. Close your eyes, cover yourself up, and surrender wherever you can. For a moment, if you remember how you felt in the beginning of class, we started lying down, and if you were lying down, I asked you to notice your back. Notice if your back meets the mat in a different way now at the end of your practice. Maybe you feel that you're a little more even, that you don't have all the weight, let's say, on one shoulder blade. Maybe your back feels deliciously broad. Maybe you feel your mid-ribs down. Maybe your body feels a little calmer. Your shoulders feel a little softer. Take all the softness with you, all the benefits of the practice that you did. Take that with you into deep relaxation. Slide into stillness. Set aside your busy mind. Set aside your thoughts, your to-do list. Let that all go. And surrender to beautiful stillness. If any tightness creeps in, any habitual tightness, if you notice your fingers curling, just gently invite any areas of habitual tightness to let go. Just suggest. Be gentle with yourself. and release all judgments you have about any lingering tension. Soften your lips. Close your eyes like soft curtains. Surrender the weight of your muscles, the weight of your bones, the weight of your thoughts. And enjoy a few more moments of stillness. These gifts of stillness are really important gifts to give to us. And remember that you don't have to do a whole yoga practice to do Shavasana. You can take a little bit of blissful Shavasana during your day. Just plop down, lie on the floor, and enjoy a little stillness. If you're happy where you are, stay right where you are. If you'd like to start emerging from your Shavasana cocoon, you might want to start now. Bring your awareness back to your breath and follow your breath as it rolls in and as it rolls out. You may want to stretch or yawn or sigh. When you are ready, bend your knees, place your feet on your mat, and ease your way comfortably over to one side. Make sure you are comfortable on your side and stay on your side for a few breaths. I find there's no more bigger buzzkill for Shavasana than rolling over onto your side and popping right up. But You do you. Some people like to do that. So when you're ready, and remember, this is a Zoom class, well, any class, if you want to stay in Shavasana longer, please do so. If you want to stay lying down, please do so. If you'd like to come back to sitting to close your practice, you can certainly do that when you're ready, but take your time to get there. Stay mindful, stay present. Notice the subtleties of your movements. Notice your choices. Make the choices you wish to make, not what you think you should make. Whether you are lying down or sitting up, if you like, realistically or symbolically, bring your awareness to your heart. You may want to join your hands and bring your hands to your heart, or you may want to bring your palms to your chest. That can feel really nice too. Lift your heart to the sky, drop your chin down. Thank your body for all it offers you. Honor your heart for its goodness, and treasure your spirit for its uniqueness. Namaste. And also, since it's the first class I'm doing for the library in January, Happy New Year to you. Namaste. Thank you so much.